You see a young man growing, and every day they keep lying against him, false accusations, and then he thinks it's because somebody hates him. You are in one location, they accuse you. You go to another location, they accuse you. You go to another location, they accuse you. You assume the people hate you. And sometimes people are foolish to think it's because they are fair. Your complexion has nothing to do with the business. It is a gate fighting you. And when propaganda is used, what it does is that it weakens your inner power. So the energy of God within you that you need to launch into destiny, it will diffuse it. So the more propagandas buffet you, the weaker you become on the inside. And the more weaker you are on the inside, the less of your destiny you will see manifest. This thing I'm telling you is deployed in the battle of kings. When a king wants to fight another king, till today they use it in wrestling. When a king wants to fight another king, what he does is that he sends men ahead, and they come with theories to frighten and to weaken and to intimidate you. And then they tell you, did you hear the story of what we did when we passed through a nation by your right hand? Did you hear the story of what happened on the left? In case you didn't hear, we killed everybody. We took all their women and children and divided the spoil because the king refused to bow. And suddenly, because of that news you have heard, your ability and your resolve to step into destiny dies. And then you discover that you begin to fight yourself from within even before your enemy come. It's a weapon of propaganda. Are you worked in ministry before? And then because they saw that your light is shining, and then the next thing news start going everywhere, that this guy did this guy did that. You know you didn't do anything, but nobody wants to hear. And all of a sudden you die inside. And after a while, your ministry vanishes. You don't know it's an intelligence of gates. Propaganda is a weapon that Gates use to bring down destinies and the potentials of nations. Have you not known that many nations today have lost foreign investors because of internet propaganda? They tell you that the place is volatile, there is bomb everywhere, nothing is happening, and the people who are advancing that propaganda are cashing out every day. Meanwhile, the nation rots in penury because the people that are willing to invest suddenly push back, and they assume that the place is inhabitable. It is the workings of Gates. In 2 Chronicles chapter 32 from verse 17 to 19, King Hezekiah wanted to fight a nation, the Assyrian nation, and then the king sent men to him, Sennacherib. And Sennacherib came to him and began to tell him terrible things. King Hezekiah had already spoken to his army that don't worry, we will win. I'm telling you the things some of you are going through. Some of you, the reason you can no longer advance is because they have painted a wrong imagery around your life and your total potential, and it looks as if in you is nothing. So you now live at the mercy of others. Verse 7. You know, the greatest undoing of many Christians is a lack of discernment. So they walk through life assuming that things will be left to luck and chance. Nobody makes a headway in life by luck and chance. When you assume things play out in life by luck and chance, you will be a victim of circumstances. The men that get ahead in life, the people that prevail in life, are the people that first of all discern that there are spiritual entities that either prevent or make things happen. They discern that nothing on earth is by chance. Every manifestation, every occurrence on the face of the earth is manipulated by spirit entities, either to negate occurrences or to facilitate them. The moment they realize this, they begin to seek the mystery and the intelligence required to align with these spirits in order to have a headway in life. If you don't discern the place of spiritual entities in advancing realities and then pay the price of aligning with them, you will be a victim in life. You know, when you share these things, most times the people that fight it are either the poor that are not making any progress and are not willing to make progress, or those to whom others have labored for and they are walking in that inheritance. So because they did not pay the price, they will assume that things happen by luck and chance. If they were to go back in history to study by what means the realities they walked in began to flow in their lineage, they will understand that definite prices were paid, deliberate steps were taken, and efforts were put on ground for dimensions to open to them. However, if you are not in the category of such, it is important for you to discern the forces that makes for things to happen and to align with them. In Psalm 24 verse 7, the Lord of hosts was about to make a grand entrance into the realms eternal, and there were forces that were mitigating and limiting the advancement of the Lord of hosts. So if the Lord of hosts is being prevented from entering into dimensions of reality, who are you? He said, lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting doors, that the King of glory may come in. You need to pay attention first to the designation and the credentials of the personality that was being prevented from stepping into reality. One, he was called a king. The Bible said in Ecclesiastes chapter 8 verse 4, it said, where the word of the king is, there is power. Who can say unto him, what doest thou? But the gates are not conscious of your authority until you exercise them. So a king came in his glory. He didn't come forgetting his glory. The Bible said he was addressed as the King of glory. He came with majesty, but the gates will not respond until authorities were enacted. You cannot come to a place and say, I am a prophet, so I will succeed. They don't care the designation with which you come. You can't come to a place and say, I'm an apostle. There are over 1 million apostles in Nigeria. They are not heard. They don't hear you because you have credentials. They don't hear you because you have a track record. They don't hear you because you look good. You don't get the contract because you have experience. You don't get the job because you made a first class. You don't get the job because you are in that territory. You don't even get the job because your father is of that land. You get the job when authority is exercised, because even the King of glory in his fullest credentials was undermined. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting doors. How come? Why were the gates not afraid that a king had made an appearance? Why were the gates not afraid that a king came in his glory? Because these beings are rebellious, and until they are subjugated, they will never bow. If you don't understand gates and how they work, your credentials notwithstanding will leave you in poverty. If you don't understand how gates work, your anointing notwithstanding, you will remain in poverty. If you don't understand how gates work, your ordination will rest in your belly as potentials until you leave this world. Because even the King of glory was resisted. He came in his majesty, but they didn't care. Lift up your heads, O ye gates. The things I want to share this evening are not emotional things. I can start a revival service now, but you can receive impartations and go back. Without knowledge, you still be a slave. The Bible said wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. If you don't have understanding, you will carry impartations upon impartations, mantles upon mantles, but you'll be a beggar. You'll be a slave and you'll be a weakling. Things will go wrong because gates will stand and they will not allow you entrance. What are gates? I know my brother have addressed a dimension of it in the positive light. So let me talk about the negative dimension of gates. Do you know why things are not working in this country? It's because of gates. They call them the cabal. If you don't address gates, nothing will work. Your talent will waste. Your credentials will waste. Your track record will count for nothing. The reason this country is strangled with the presence of apostles, prophets, teachers is because there is a gate that has not been touched. And until you crumble the gate, nothing will work. A good message can change nothing except the gates are touched. Paul, Peter will remain in prison until the gate open. If the gates don't open, even if chains fall off your hand, you will still be enslaved. Gates must begin to open over people for dimensions to be experienced. A man can be the most anointed in a generation, but a gate can keep him in hiding. And with all his rema, he will raise the dead, but he will be hidden. Not because God kept him there, but because a gate says you will never rise. These are the mysteries of life that many take for granted. You are mighty on your throne. I pray somebody, okay. You know know, gates are not just access points. No. You know,
you are mighty on your throne.
Never join the ignorant that knows nothing and talk foolishly. Nothing is by chance or by luck. Nothing. Never join them. Especially nobody have fought up doors of possibility for you. Never join them. I can please because I know it by experience. I am the first preacher in my lineage. There was nobody who left a heritage for me. I have to break into possibilities. I have to defy protocols to ascend. So I know what I'm telling you. Kadosh, Kadosh, you are mighty on your throne. You reign, you reign, you reign. You ancient Zion's King. Kadosh, Kadosh. You are mighty on your. You reign, you reign, you reign.
You ancient Zion's King. Kadosh, Kadosh. You are mighty on your throne.
In the name of Jesus. You want me to teach or you want us to do it? You know, some people love fire so much. So if the gates are not dealt with, the King of Glory will stand outside stranded. And then you look at him, you say, are you not a king? I'm a king. He was not dethroned. Don't you have glory anymore? I carry so much of it. Why are you stranded? The gates are locked. You know, many people who you see walking on the street stranded, it's not because their potentials is not sufficient to change a nation. The gates are locked. You see a man full of wisdom. Every problem you begin to talk about, he has 30 solutions to it. Then you now wonder, why are you here? The gates are locked. Some people even have money, but the gate to business is locked. So every investment they do, they fail. And they keep losing millions upon millions. And then you say, what is going on? The guy came into business with 30 million. After 2 years, he's left with 2 million. What is happening? I thought you came into business. The gates are locked. If he doesn't know the way to the city, he will waste everything he has. And even if he keeps it, it will be of none effect because the gates are locked. So one of the intelligences for advancement in life is the ability to break open gates, because most times they refuse to open. So you break them. You are mighty on your throne. A gate is actually a conclave of spiritual entities that exercises authority and dominion over people, over systems, over territories, and over nations. It's a conclave, a company of spiritual entities and forces that exercises dominion over people, over entities, over systems, and over territories, and over nations. They are the forces that determines whether things happen or not. And the problem is this: if you are not able to deal with the gates, everything you have is a waste. You may not believe what I'm telling you, but don't allow life teach you. You may learn it when you are 90 years old. And the battles you don't win will become warfare for your children. In Matthew chapter 16 verse 18, Jesus made a statement. Peter spoke. He said, who do men say I, the Son of Man, I am? Jesus wanted to institute the church on the face of the earth. He couldn't, because he knew that if the gates of hell are not dealt with, it's a waste to start the church. Meanwhile, somebody enters a territory and he starts International Revival Center. He has not dealt with the gate, and then he thinks it will work. Somebody comes to a territory, starts a business. He has not. Jesus wanted to start the church the moment he began his ministry. But if the gates of hell can prevail, it's a waste. So Jesus had to educate these guys for over 3 years with him, because they needed to pick the key for themselves. And he said, who do men say I, the Son of Man, I am? The Bible said, some said you are Elias, some say you are Jeremiah, some say you are one of the prophets, and say you. You see the reason why the guys never prospered in spiritual things, because the gates of hell dominated them. They didn't know the way to the city. So some of them assumed that the way God will bring his government upon was the ministry of Elijah. They were wrong. Others thought the foundation of God's government was the ministry of Jeremiah. Jesus could not build because the gate of hell brought Elijah down. The gate of hell brought Jeremiah down, because the gate of hell is not just when you are doing ministry. If they can't deal with you when you are doing ministry, they have already manipulated time, and age will bring you down. So at some point they became old and they had no choice but to go. But there is a priesthood after the order of Melchizedek that is eternal. So you can't deal with him by sickness, you can't deal with him by poverty, and even about life is immortal. And the moment they discerned it, he said, upon this revelation, because he said, thou art Petros, upon this Petra I will build my ecclesia. So he wasn't talking to Peter, he was talking to the revelation of the Christ that Peter called. And he said, the gates of Hades shall not prevail against thee. Now the moment Jesus knew that the gate of hell was defeated, Jesus had the liberty to start the church, and few months later he left them and went to heaven. If the gate is addressed, everything is sorted out. Why would Jesus leave novices? Why would Jesus leave naive men? Why would Jesus leave men that didn't have so much understanding? Meanwhile, the doctors of the law had all the understanding, but God couldn't commit the church to them. It is men who don't really have understanding God committed church to. These ones have prevailed against the gates. If you win the battle of the gates, even if you don't have experience in ministry, your ministry will prosper. You will learn on the job. But somebody else can go to 20 Bible schools, have all the exegesis and the theology, but he has not dealt with the gates. With his knowledge, he will fail woefully in ministry. He will apply all the principles he knows, they will not work. You may know only one principle, and you will work with that one principle, and you will start growing. God will be teaching you while you are doing the job. But somebody else who is impeccable and excellent will crumble. What is the difference? Is the gate. The moment they dealt with the gate of Hades, Jesus left them and said the church will grow. No matter what happens, the church will grow, because the only thing that can stop the church from growing are the gates. For some people, gates are wicked human beings partnering with spirits and preventing your advancement. For some people, gates are principalities in darkness. They don't even need human partnership, because they have found the weight of your destiny. They are fighting you tooth and nail to ensure you don't manifest. For you to manifest, you must understand the battles of the gates. The King of Glory was prevented from entering into manifestation until gates were dealt with. The church was prevented from manifestation until gates were dealt with. You will not manifest until gates are dealt with. There is no lock, there is no chance. And if you deal with your gates, suddenly everything men try to do will be a waste. Men will gang up and say, this guy is arrogant, he won't succeed. That's your arrogance. Some people will now say it's boldness. Men will say this guy is disorganized, it's not oriented. That your disorganization, they will call it fire. Because the things that people want to use to discredit you will become your horn. But if your gate is not dealt with, even your greatest caution will be turned against you. So what determines how men see you and how men walk with you, how men serve you, is either you have dealt with your gate or not. This is not sentiment, this is not emotion, this is reality. The gates of Hades. Is there a gate standing against your destiny? Is there a gate standing against your business? Is there a gate standing against your ministry? It will go down today. It will go down today. Let me show you how gates work. The first way gates work is by propaganda. Gates work by propaganda. If this arrow is shot at you, you will be amazed. You will be the most anointed man, yet a generation will reject you, even up to the point of death, and they won't repent. The arrow of propaganda. Many princes have been dethroned by this arrow because they never dealt with it. You see a young man growing, and every day they keep lying against him, false accusations, and then he thinks it's because somebody hates him. You are in one location, they accuse you, You go to another location, they accuse you. You go to another location, they accuse you. You assume the people hate you. And sometimes people are foolish to think it's because they are fair. Your complexion has nothing to do with the business. It is a gate fighting you. And when propaganda is used, what it does is that it weakens your inner power. So the energy of God within you that you need to launch into destiny, it will diffuse it. So the more propagandas buffet you, the weaker you become on the inside. And the more weaker you are on the inside, the less of your destiny you will see manifest. This thing I'm telling you is deployed in the battle of kings. When a king wants to fight another king, till today they use it in wrestling. When a king wants to fight another king, what he does is that he sends men ahead, and they come with theories to frighten and to weaken and to intimidate you. And then they tell you, did you hear the story of what we did when we passed through a nation by your right hand? Did you hear the story of what happened on the left? In case you didn't hear, we killed everybody. We took all their women and children and divided the spoil because the king refused to bow. And suddenly, because of that news you have heard, your ability and your resolve to step into destiny dies. And then you discover that you begin to fight yourself from within even before your enemy comes. It's a weapon of propaganda. Are you worked in ministry before? And then because they saw that your light is shining, and then the next thing news start going everywhere, that this guy did this guy did that. You know you didn't do anything, but nobody wants to hear. And all of a sudden you die inside. And after a while, your ministry vanishes. You don't know it's an intelligence of gates. Propaganda is a weapon that Gates use to bring down destinies and the potentials of nations. Have you not known that many nations today have lost foreign investors because of internet propaganda? They tell you that the place is volatile, there is bomb everywhere, nothing is happening, and the people who are advancing that propaganda are cashing out every day. Meanwhile, the nation rots in penury because the people that are willing to invest suddenly push back, and they assume that the place is inhabitable. It is the workings of Gates. In 2 Chronicles chapter 32 from verse 17 to 19, King Hezekiah wanted to fight a nation, the Assyrian nation, and then the king sent men to him, Sennacherib. And Sennacherib came to him and began to tell him terrible things. King Hezekiah had already spoken to his army that don't worry, we will win. I'm telling you the things some of you are going through. Some of you, the reason you can no longer advance is because they have painted a wrong imagery around your life and your total potential, and it looks as if in you is nothing. So you now live at the mercy of others. This is what the Bible calls an abomination on the face of the earth, that princes are walking on foot while beggars are riding on horses. A man who should stand up and bring deliverance to a territory, because they have weakened his resolve through propaganda, he's now a slave of people. It's one of the laws of seduction. People use propaganda to enslave others. So instead of you rising, you will never see yourself on top. You always see yourself to be best a slave. This is what has robbed Africa. When an African man goes to school, he's going to school to learn so that he will serve. When a white man is going to school, he's going to school to learn so that he will lead. The difference between the child of a slave and the child of a king is mentality. It's not the throne, it's not royalty, it's mentality. The child of a slave, even if he has a PhD, he's seen the opportunities that his PhD will give him to serve another. But the child of a king, if he has first school living certificate, is learning how to give command with that first school living certificate. It is here. Propaganda will disrupt your mentality until you see yourself only good enough to be a slave. It is the function of a gate. King Hezekiah had buttressed the confidence of his soldiers. He told them that they have number, but we have God on our side. And when the king heard that King Hezekiah was boasting in the name of his God, he now sent men to the land, and he began to insult the God of Israel. First he told them, did you not hear what happened to the nations we visited? How that they depended on their God, and their gods disappointed them, and we destroyed them with their God. What makes you feel your own God can save you? And suddenly the army became weak. Meanwhile, in that battle, not one arrow was shot in Israel. The king died. In verse 20 of that scripture, the Bible said, an angel of the Lord went into the camp of the Assyrians and destroyed them utterly, until the king ran back to his country. And when the king went to worship his own God, he said his own men pounced on him and tore him apart. So a king that can self-destruct would have defeated the nation of Israel by the instrument of propaganda. Some of the things you run from are the things God has put in place to announce you, but propaganda made you consider defeat before the battle came. It's the battle of gates. When you know that a gate is at work, find out what strategy that gate is using. If it is propaganda, refuse to die inside. If you keep yourself alive inside, not too long, because the instrumentality of his weapon is propaganda, over time he will run out of intelligence. Because when propaganda doesn't work, the person doing it becomes weary. So you will defeat the person by weariness if you refuse to be depleted on your inside. Many people are easily depleted. And when I begin to talk about the weapons we use against gate, you will see the role of prayer. Prayer is not just no. When we are in the midst of battle, every form of prayer has a definite purpose it achieves. And one of the purposes that prayer achieves in dealing with gates is to sustain internal energy and to keep it there. That's why in Ephesians chapter 6 from verse 10, it said, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. The word strong in the Lord is the word kratos. The word power of his might is the word iskus. Those are internal powers. They are not external. Remember, when you are dealing with the demonic realm, you need two kinds of power. The first power you need is exousia. Exousia is delegated authority. It commands. Dunamis is the second power. Dunamis changes circumstances, but exousia and dunamis will never work unless you have iskus and kratos. That's why in Ephesians chapter 1 verse 19, he said God was able to raise Jesus from the dead by the iskus kratos of his dunamis. Because without iskus kratos, power will never work. Look at it, Ephesians 1:19. He said God is by the exceeding greatness of his power. That word is dunamis. To us who believe, according to the working of this mighty power, is actually iskus kratos. So dunamis works according to iskus kratos. So a man who doesn't have internal energy, even though he has exousia, he will have no result. A man who doesn't have internal energy, even if he has dunamis, it will not work. So he said, when you are engaging the spirits, in Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10, he said, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might, in the iskus of his kratos. Because if you allow propaganda diffuse your internal energy, you are gone. Many people have lost the battle of life by the instrumentality of propaganda. Somebody looks at you and say, wait, now you they call yourself apostle? When they tell you like that, look up and say, yes, na me. So this one man an apostle. Some come now and they are manipulated by demons and they go and write online. Nowadays everybody is an apostle. I don't know how others became, but me, God told me. So I am not intimidated. If you like, let all of you write it. I don't care. Jesus told me, I have raised you as an apostle. And when nobody believed it, I say, I am an apostle. Paul writes, he said, Paul, a servant of Jesus, an apostle and a preacher of the gospel. Some stand up and say, everybody now, they are talking porters, they are talking dimension. Every day I preach, I will call porters and dimension. This man talking to you is too loaded to be intimidated. Even Hades, they know. They say they are calling dimension, they are calling porter. Some say big English. If you are intimidated, go and read. I am calling porters and dimension. Cancer is leaving people. You who is teaching basic doctrine, how many manifestations do you have? And by the mercy of God, I have test of character. I'm not intimidated by any. People have no message for their generation. They are talking nonsense. It's called propaganda. It's one of the manipulations of gates. Many people have run out of ministry because they use gate to manipulate them out. Many people have failed in business because they use gate to manipulate them out. Be bold about your distinction. Your peculiarity is your mark. Don't throw it away because of somebody else's gullible sentiment. Please sit down. These are real life issues. Real life issues. In the early 80s and 90s, when the church age was launched, every young man was a pastor. And when they grew, they became reverends. And then they became bishops. It is peculiar to the move of God. And I'm not saying everybody should go and call themselves apostles. But if God says you're an apostle, let no man intimidate you. Let no man intimidate you. Because if they get your internal energy, you are gone. If they weaken you, you are finished. That's the job of propaganda. This is why sometimes we lock the door and we pray. Because I sense all of a sudden that my confidence is diffusing. Quickly, I lock away from everybody. and I go back there. When I finish and I come out, the mountains I saw before I entered, they become a mole when I come out. The cat that entered the room comes out as a lion. The weakling that entered the room comes out as a Mustang. And then you are wondering, this guy is arrogant. You don't know what is going on. It's an internal economy. Keep quiet, you will die. I'm telling you, this is life, the life of victory. If you keep quiet, you will die. Now, if you start doing anything worthwhile, they are rushing. Rushing where? A man is over 30, you say it's rushing. He has served God for 20 years, you say it's rushing. Is he at the age of 90 and we wake up? Kenneth E. Hagin started preaching at the age of 15. E.W. Kenyon preached at the age of 17. Bishop Oyedepo said, early to rise, early to shine. Pastor Chris Oyakhilome did his first crusade in 1980. That it took you 40 years to become great doesn't mean everybody will be 40 years. And I am not against process. I went through process. But there are many things I learned working with God. Many people have become complacent. We are a generation of complacent people. Young men doing nothing. You see 30 graduates gather in one spot doing nothing. If you ask them, they say process. Who told you process is inactive life? Because they have weakened their internal energy. Go and find out how many professions and how many ministries men started in their 30s. Everybody making impact. More than 70% of them started in their teens. The men who do it when they are 40, they write it as record because it's unheard of. Wake up and refuse the tool of propaganda. These are the gates over Africa that have made us slaves forever. When you travel out of this country, you see boys of 18 years traveling. Meanwhile, in Africa, a man of 28 years wants to travel, he's still confused. He goes to the embassy for interview, he's stumbling. There are gates that have kept us in captivity. It is in Africa that you see a man of 30, they are holding him and leading him everywhere like a blind man. He's like a baby. At 30, you will not see it anywhere in the world. There are professors outside this country at the age of 23. There are CEOs at the age of 20 outside this country. Bishop Oyedepo said he went for a conference at one time when he wanted to start either Covenant University or what's the other one now? Landmark University. And then he went for a conference of agriculture. I think it's Landmark University. And then one of the boys that came to represent one university that Bishop Oyedepo and his VC went for was 22 years old. And then you are here, you say, we are still young. You are a joke. The day you will wake up, you'll be 60 years old. Your strength would have gone. If some of us were to be easily intimidated, you won't see us here. I'm not brooding arrogance and I'm not undermining process, but I'm telling you, early to rise, early to shine. And in case you have risen, don't allow the horn of propaganda destroy your internal energy. Sometimes what we need is not impartation, it's truth, so that we wake up. How can you wake up? You are not doing anything, you are 25 and you lie down at home. You have prayed for 5 years, you say nothing is happening, you lie down. And many sisters have been entrapped because men have become useless. They use the name of God and visions to marry sisters that are visionary and tie them to one spot. Why do you think many sisters don't want to marry the brothers? You come from morning to night, you are talking about an encounter and a vision. What has your encounter translated to? And you want a young girl who has vision. After I marries you, all the money she has raised from her business, that money becomes what promotes the ministry. Because you have no... You are mighty on your throne. You ancient Zion's king. Kadosh, Kadosh. You are mighty on your throne. See, God knows my heart, that my heart is pure. But I need to tell you this truth. God knows my heart. I'm obligated to tell you this truth because God has given me the horn to address the younger generation. And if you have listened to my messages, you know I have taught process. They are in catalogs. But process is not complacency. Wake up. Propaganda have killed many destinies.